Hello Pokemon trainers! Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Pocket video here on iStarly TV. Today we have the release of Triumphant Light, the brand new set in Pokemon TCG Pocket. I guess you can call it a mini set, but either way the cards went live last night in my time zone, and the release was actually really smooth. The past couple of releases have been pretty terrible, like you can't log into the game because everyone's trying, but they did something right this time because it was really smooth. It was like nothing had happened, but you were able to log in and get the new cards and stuff. But anyways, today, as per kind of tradition at this point with new sets in the game, I have 3 new decks for Triumphant Light. These are decks that I kind of brainstormed now that we have all of the cards available, and in game you can also look at all the cards if you want. But anyways, yeah, so I wanted to make 3 decks. A couple of these feel like they could be pretty competitive, and then, you know, of course we have an Arceus deck because I felt like I shouldn't not make an Arceus deck, but, you know, there's so many different Arceus decks you could probably make. But anyways, let's get to the 3 new decks that you can build, and I think they all seem pretty good. And of course, I want to quickly preface this and say these are the decks that I kind of thought of myself. You know, there's definitely ways you can take the ideas I come up with here and run with them and go your own route if there's improvements you think you could make, stuff like that, or swaps that you want to make, whatever the case. But yeah, these were decks that I just think I'm going to build as soon as I can in the game, as soon as I own the cards, and have fun with them. So the first deck is what I'm calling Barry. So Barry is a new supporter in the set, and he says, during this turn, attacks used by your Snorlax, Heracross, and Staraptor cost 2 less colorless energy. And so of course I wanted to build a deck with Heracross and Staraptor. There is a new Snorlax in the set that looked really awful because it requires 4 energy, but now that we see this Barry, it looks a little bit more usable. But Snorlax also has 4 retreat cost, which is pretty insane. And then the older Snorlax is also not that great. So I just, you know, I thought these 2 Pokemon looked like they'd work well with Barry. These are 2 Pokemon that, I mean, Staraptor is like really strong even without Barry. Heracross is a little kind of awkward without Barry, but if you have Barry, they are both really powerful. Like, Staraptor needing just 1 energy to do 130 damage is pretty insane. And even Heracross, like, if you use Single Horn Throw on the first turn because of Barry, that can potentially be a lot of damage. Potentially. For just 1 energy. But yeah, this just seems like a fun deck, and Staraptor is interesting, again, because it can do so much damage. So the card list in this deck is obviously 2 Barry, 2 Heracross, 2 Starly. Now the Starly you want to use, I think, is the one from, or the one that I would use is the one from Space Time Smackdown. That one has 50 HP and it has an attack that does 20 damage, but it removes a tool card from the enemy, which I think is very powerful because a lot of people are playing tool cards. And then the 2 other Pokemon, the 2 Staravias are from Triumphant Light, and then the 2 Staraptors are from Triumphant Light. The Staravia from Triumphant Light is a little bit better, in my opinion, than the one from Space Time Smackdown, and then same with the Staraptor. Although the other Staraptor from Space Time Smackdown is okay, but I wanted to use this one because it just is really strong. It does a lot of damage. Then we have 2 copies of Pokeball, 2 Research, 2 Communication, because of course we are playing Stage 2s. I think 1 Communication could probably be fine. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I would probably go 1 Communication and like 1 Giovanni, because Giovanni allows Staraptor to do 140 damage, which is really good against like Darkrai and even the new Arceus. Then we have 1 copy of Shaman, and I should have listed this under Staraptor as part of the like Pokemon list. But Shaman is another basic Pokemon in the deck that you can run, and this is the Shaman from Space Time Smackdown, the previous set. It can heal 10 damage from each of your Pokemon with its ability each turn. So I thought that was pretty good with Staraptor, and it's another Pokemon that uses grass energy, so it's just another basic that you could have in the deck. You could throw it away to Communication if you need to, or again, if you have it on the bench, you can heal off your Staraptor's damage. Then 2 Giant Cape, it's just a good item. I mean, you could go 1 Cape, 1 Rocky Helmet if you want, but Cape helps the Starly survive, because I think the Starly has 50 HP, whereas the Starly from the new set has like 60, so 60 is definitely better than 50, because 50 could get one-shot by some things. So Cape is kind of necessary there. And then we have 1 X Speed. You could go one Leaf instead, but I didn't want to have too many supports in the deck. But we actually don't have that many supports at the moment, so I guess you could go Leaf if you want, because Heracross and Staraptor both just require 2 energy to retreat. So if you have Leaf, of course, you know, you can retreat for free if that's the case. But yeah, so however you want to swap it, if you want to add that Giovanni, if you want to switch X Speed for Leaf, that can work. But this is also an easy deck to build because all you need is you know, Staraptor and Heracross, both of which are 2 diamond cards, and those are like the rarest cards in the deck. So you probably own most of these cards, or will probably easily come by most of these cards. So if you want to build this deck, like I said, I offered a couple suggestions to improve it if you want. But yeah, this should be an easy deck to build, which is pretty awesome. I guess you could also, if you have an Arceus EX, you could swap that in for something. I mean, why not, right? But yeah, this looks like a really fun deck, and I'm excited to build it and play it. Another suggestion I had is if you wanted to play Staraptor without Berry, the new supporter Irida, however you say it, she heals 40 damage from all of your Pokemon with water energy on them. They don't have to be water Pokemon, so you could play Staraptor in a deck with like a water Pokemon or 2, maybe, I mean, an EX like Articuno or Palkia, and then, you know, you can put the water energy on Staraptor, and then, you know, obviously Staraptor does damage to itself with Brave Bird, so Irida can heal off that damage with the support card. So yeah, if you wanted to go a different route, not play Heracross, but play some water Pokemon instead, that's an option. But I'm excited to build this deck. Like I said, it's easy to build, and I'm going to build it the soonest chance I get and try it out. And here's our second deck, trying to be clever here, calling it Darkius, because it's a dark Arceus deck. And this is probably the most, like, maybe cringe deck I'm building here. This is kind of like, you could call this an obvious deck if you look over the set list, and just knowing what cards are already good and what cards look like they're going to be very good. This is Arceus EX with Darkrai EX and Crobat. So Crobat is really powerful, 110 HP, 50 damage for just 1 energy, and then its ability Cunning Link with Arceus in play allows you to do 30 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon each turn. Of course, coupled with Darkrai EX, you're doing 50 damage to the enemy each turn. Also, Crobat does not need to be the active Pokemon itself. You just need to be damaging their active Pokemon. So Crobat could be on the bench, which is pretty insane. And so, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of nasty. If you want, you could run one copy of non-EX Arceus as well, although non-EX Arceus isn't that great, but if you really just want to guarantee that you have it for Crobat, that is an option. And then we have, again, 2 copies of Arceus EX, 2 copies of Darkrai EX, 2 Zubats from this new set, 2 Golbats from Genetic Apex, which I thought looked like the better one. I think it does more damage. I think it's strictly better. It does more damage for the same amount of energy. And then finally, of course, 2 Crobats. 2 Pokeballs, 2 Research, 1 copy of Cyrus. Cyrus is great, of course, with Crobat because you're able to damage their... Well, you do a lot of chip damage to their Pokemon, so that even though it's only their active Pokemon, they might retreat a lot. So that can force, or that can, you know, allow you to snipe something or pull something in that has retreated. Sabrina is also really good here. I like the 1-1 split, but, you know, if you want to swap it for 2-1 or 2-0, or however you want to do that, they're both really good cards. 2 copies of Cape, maybe not the most necessary, but I mean, it makes your Arceus and Darkrai's a lot harder to kill. It also beefs up your Zubats on the bench and stuff, so they're harder to kill as well. 1 copy of Leaf. Darkrai and Arceus both have 2 retreat cost, although Crobat has 0 retreat cost, which is pretty awesome. And then finally 1 copy of Giovanni, because of course, I think the maximum damage that Arceus can do is 130, so Giovanni gets it to 140, which of course is a good break point. And then just in general, I think Giovanni works really well with this deck because we just have so much damage. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be one of those decks where it's like it kind of builds itself. It looks very powerful. You know, it's worth it to try if you open some Arceus. You know, Crobat's not that hard to find as well. And if you've played a lot in the past set, you probably, I think most people have Darkrai EX, although I don't want to assume because I personally still am missing a copy of Gallade EX and Mismagius EX. So I know not everyone has all the cards yet, but if you want to build this deck, if you want to be cringe, I'll probably build this deck once I own all the cards too, just to try it out. But there are a lot of routes Arceus could go. Let me know in the comments what you think is the best Arceus EX deck in this set. Is it this one? Is it a version of this one with different cards that I haven't added, or is it another one? Let me know. And then finally, we have something of a weird one here. The name is a little cringe. I called it Garchomp Glameow. I saw a deck pop up. I think it was on Reddit. I don't want to take credit for it, so I don't remember who made it or the specifics of it, but I built the deck myself with the Garchomp from Spacetime Smackdown, the dragon one. But it was a deck that was playing, the Garchomp line, and then it played Glameow, 2 copies of Glameow with 2 copies of Team Galactic Grunt. Team Galactic Grunt allows you to grab a Glameow from your deck. So it's like a very specific version of Pokeball. It can grab Glameow, Krogunk, or Stunky, but Glameow is like kind of the easiest Pokemon to use because it just requires colorless energy to use, whereas, Krogunk requires dark energy, so this allows Glameow to be fit into multiple different types of decks. But anyway, when I saw the new Garchomp EX and the fact that it looks really powerful, I wanted to try the Garchomp EX card in this deck. And the thought process is, between Pokeball, Communication, and Team Galactic Grunt, you can just really churn through your deck really easily and quickly. And even though you might, sometimes you'll hold on to Glameow, you won't even play it, and you'll just use it to use on Communication so that you can find one of your Garchomp, evolutions or something. And it just makes the deck so smooth, and I've tried it out, and it's really fun. It's like, it feels really fun to just, churn through your deck and, draw a million cards, throw away your Glameows and stuff, and then guarantee that you find the Garchomps. And now that this Garchomp is way more powerful than the previous Garchomp, I think that this deck still has a lot going for it. Yeah, and beyond that, I don't know if there's too much more I need to explain. I mean, 2 Giant Cape makes sense. 2 copies of Cyrus, because Cyrus is insane with Garchomp EX with linear attack. It does 50 damage to one of their Pokemon, which of course could be their bench, and then you can finish them off with Dragon Claw later. So, I don't know. I'm going to try this deck. Of course, I do not own any copies of Garchomp EX just yet, but once I do own 2 copies, I'm absolutely going to build this deck. As for the Pokemon, I mean, just a little bit specific. 2 copies of Gible. The Gible from Spacetime Smackdown, I think, is actually strictly better than the Gible from the new set because it has no weakness at all, and everything else about it I think is the same, except this one, the Spacetime Smackdown one is a dragon, and then the Triumphant Light one is a fighting type. But again, the Spacetime Smackdown one does not have a weakness, so that just makes it better. And then you use Gabite from Triumphant Light because it's fighting. The other one requires water energy. And then finally Garchomp EX. So I'm going to try this deck. It looks like a lot of fun. Again, I tried it with the other version of Garchomp, and it was very fun. The other version of Garchomp does have a little bit more churn, though, if that makes sense, because its ability allows you to discard cards to draw extra cards. So you can discard the card that you don't need anymore, so that was kind of helpful. Cynthia also does not work with Garchomp EX, I don't believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe it works with Garchomp EX. So otherwise, we would absolutely be playing Cynthia, because that would be insane. So that is the deck, and those are my 3 decks to try from Triumphant Light in Pokemon TCG Pocket. I'm really excited to build decks in this set. Of course, I've opened all the packs that I could. I got all the bonus hourglasses from the solo missions or whatever, and opened more packs, and I still have not opened an EX at all. So it's kind of sad. I'm gonna cry. They better, I mean, don't make me spend money on this game, right? I just might, but I really want to open these EXs and build these powerful decks. But like I said, if anything, if all else fails, I can build the berry deck without EXs. So thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like and please subscribe for more Pokemon TCG Pocket videos. And of course, again, let me know in the comments what you think of the new set, what deck you are most excited to build, and if you have suggestions for improvements of these decks that I've built. Have a great day and enjoy the set. And I'm blessing you, and I'm wishing you the best of luck with your pack openings.